Here at the Venkat Center, because of the corona situation right now and there being a lockdown, we have been doing voluntary teleconsultations for people home isolating with coronavirus. And while doing this, we have found that there are some mistakes that people are doing which might complicate their illness. It can make what would otherwise have been a mild form of corona into a severe form of corona. So today we're going to talk about 5 common mistakes that people are doing which can make corona illness worse, and why and how you should avoid these. I'm Dr. Aniket Venkatram from the Venkat Center for Skin, ENT and Plastic Surgery. Now, being a center for skin and plastic surgery, obviously right now during the lockdown, there is not much for us to do. We cannot do cosmetic surgeries during this period. We are waiting for things to become safer for our patients. But at the same time, we wanted to contribute and help with the corona situation in the country. So that's why we have been doing teleconsultations in association with the government of Karnataka and Project Step 1 to reach out to people in home isolation. And as I mentioned, these are some of our findings, and we thought we will educate people. The underlying message I want to give is that in corona, earlier is better. The earlier you know about it, the earlier you seek treatment, the better your outcome. So most of the mistakes that we have found are in relation to this. So the first mistake we have found is that people aren't getting tested early. Who needs to get tested? Firstly, those who are having symptoms. Secondly, those who have been in contact with someone who has come out to be positive. Now, what is the problem with getting tested early? The problem is that if you do not get tested early, you can end up spreading it to others until you do get tested. And secondly, by delaying, when you do get tested, your symptoms might be worse and you might be in a worse off position. Treatment might be started later. Usually people don't get tested early thinking, let us see what happens. If nothing is there, why simply bother? But that's not a good idea. If you have a doubt, try to get yourself tested so that one, you don't spread it to others, and two, the treatment can be started earlier, and that will have a better outcome. The second issue we have found is that those, even if they get tested, they do not start isolating immediately. They think that let us wait until the test report comes and then we can start isolating. This is not good. You need to start isolating as soon as you give the test, assuming that you might be positive. Why? Because one, as I mentioned, you will stop giving it to others, you will stop spreading it to others. Two, you will start treatment earlier. So your outcome will be better and you will not give it to others. If your test comes negative, you can break isolation and go back to your daily life. But if it comes positive, you know you have done the right thing and you have not spread this to anyone else. The third issue is people are not monitoring themselves properly during isolation. When you're in isolation, you need to have a separate room with a separate bathroom to yourself. No one else should be sharing it. And you need to monitor yourself properly. What do I mean by monitoring? Monitoring consists of two things. One, keeping a track of your symptoms, and two, keeping a track of your vitals. Now, in terms of symptoms, there are a few danger signs that you need to look out for. One is severe fever of 101 or more for 3 to 4 days continuously. Second is a difficulty in breathing, a difficulty in taking in breaths. Third is severe diarrhea, almost 4 to 5 times a day. Fourth is severe weakness, severe fatigue, not being able to do anything. These are all warning signs that you need to look out for. Along with this, you need to check your vitals. Vitals means you need to check your temperature using a thermometer. You need to check your pulse rate and you need to check your oxygen saturation. You need to keep a track of this daily, and if you see worsening, then you might need to go to a hospital. The fourth mistake that we have found is people are self-medicating. They're taking medicines by themselves without supervision of a doctor. And what the problem with this is, often you end up taking too much. You end up taking all kinds of tablets which you do not need. But you might be saying, doctor, you just said that early treatment is better, so why not start it early? Early appropriate treatment is what is needed. The best example for this is use of steroids. Yes, steroids can help in moderate to severe coronavirus. But for this reason, people are even taking it in mild COVID. What is the problem with this? Basically, what these steroids do is they suppress your immune system. In COVID, there can be something called a cytokine storm, which is when your immune system goes haywire and starts doing all kinds of things. So that is when steroid is needed to calm your immune system down and to avoid complications. But what's the problem of this? If it's lowering your immunity, then you can be susceptible to other diseases. The best example for this is the black fungus that we're hearing so much about. It is caused by a fungus known as aspergillus or mucormycosis. This happens because your body's immunity is lowered from steroids and these funguses can attack. So, steroids have to be used judiciously in the people on whom it is needed. Those who are in the hospital with moderate to severe illnesses under supervision of a doctor, they should take steroids. Those who are at home with mild illness, not major symptoms, there is no reason to take steroids. It's not going to give you any benefit and it can cause harm. So do not self-medicate. Seek the treatment of a doctor. And finally, the fifth mistake we have found is not seeking higher care, not seeking hospitalization in time. All these things that I've mentioned, staying at home, isolating, monitoring, we have found that even when monitoring and people find some of the danger symptoms, they still stay at home and think, let us wait and see, let us see if it gets better. This is not a good idea. These are called danger symptoms for a reason. If you have any of those symptoms or if your saturation is going down, you need help. You need to go to the hospital early. There are a couple of advantages to this. One is medical, that your outcome will be better. When you come to the hospital, the doctor is finding you in an earlier state where it is easier to treat you. So your outcome is likely to be better. The other is a more practical one. If you go early, you will not require an ICU bed right away. You can require a general bed, and that is far easier to get. Obviously, there are fewer ICU beds than general beds. This is because fewer people should need ICU care. So if you go to the hospital early, you are less likely to require an ICU bed. It is more likely that you will get a bed in the hospital. So do not delay in seeking treatment. If you have any danger signs, or if you are elderly, if you have other risk factors such as diabetes, hypertension, breathing conditions, COPD, these are all reasons to seek medical care. Now, this is a good time for us to talk about a pulse oximeter. What is a pulse oximeter? This is a pulse oximeter. It is basically a device that checks your oxygen saturation. What does oxygen saturation mean? Oxygen saturation means the amount of oxygen in your blood. So this is something that is very important to keep track of when you are at home isolating. So you need to put this on your finger, wait for around 30 seconds to register a reading. If you can see, mine is showing around 98 right now. And this is something that you need to check every day. A good saturation should be at least 94 to 95. This varies. In someone who's young and healthy without any major symptoms, 94 is okay. But in someone who's older, who has medical conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, you would want to keep a safety limit of around 95 to 96. But in general, 95 is a good cutoff. That should be the minimum. Another thing to do with the pulse oximeter is to do something called a walk test. This means that you put the pulse oximeter, you walk around in your own room where you're isolating for around 6 minutes. Then you put the pulse oximeter again and see the value. If it drops after walking for around 6 minutes, that is an early sign that your saturation might be dropping and you might require oxygen. So these are the symptoms and vitals that you need to be monitoring, and this will tell you if you're worsening and you need to seek medical treatment. So this was our video on mistakes commonly made during COVID home isolation. The aim of this video is to educate people so that they have better outcomes. Remember, in coronavirus, earlier is better. The earlier you get tested, the earlier you get treated, the better your outcome. But this does not mean that everyone should rush to the hospital. Healthy young people should go and get admitted directly. No, that is not the message of this video. Early, appropriate care is what is needed. So let us go over them again. Get tested as soon as you have a doubt. As soon as you get tested, start isolation. Monitor yourself properly. Take appropriate treatment under the advice of a doctor. And if you feel you're worsening, do not delay in seeking medical care. I hope this video was of benefit to you. If you have any questions, do get in touch with us. Our information is in the description below. Do like our video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you and have a good day.